Hey guys, my name is Jake, and we're going to be talking about the Order 1886 today. There might be some slight spoilers, so if you haven't played it, probably don't want to touch here. Anyways, let's go through it. The Order 1886 on the outside is really, really cool. It's like this awesome story of like werewolves and a secret order that is part of the Knights of the Round Table with King Arthur, and they have the Holy Grail to keep them alive, and they're like constantly battling through England, and it's like kind of confusing if they're known to the public or not, but that doesn't really matter. That's not really the point. But so it starts off with this really cool premise and like kind of grabs you, and you start off in prison and it's like, ooh, wonder what happened. And it does that thing where, you know, the game starts like in the future and then it jumps back to the past. You're like, how did I get here? And it does all that kind of great storytelling stuff. But then when you kind of like open up the game and really start to play it, you find that you don't actually start to play it for the most part. It's not a long game. It's like 6 hours, which isn't really the problem, but it is the problem when like 2.5 hours are actually gameplay. And like 3.5 hours, yeah, that would be math, 3.5 hours, are actually like watching movies or tapping X and doing like quick time events or walking around buildings, reading things. And it's like, what are we doing here? So that's the one bummer. But the Order 1886, it's got some good stuff going for it. First off, the graphics are, impressive. They're incredible. It's probably the best game I've ever seen and played. And it's ridiculous. All the like physics move perfectly. Like you've got these shoulder cloths and they like wiggle and waggle, and like how a shoulder cloth would actually wiggle and waggle, and that's really impressive. And the bottles like rolling down cobblestone streets like actually are like rolling like they would be, and that's really cool. And it's just gorgeous. And you look at it, you're like, this could be a movie. It's like that good, and it's crazy, and just shows like what we're gonna get for PS4. But then that is all great, but then there's this other stuff below it where it's like, awkward. First of all, like the combat is very like old school third-person shooter-esque, and which is really sad because there's a lot of cool guns. Like there's a lightning arc gun kind of thing made by Nikola Tesla, and it's like you charge it and it shoots out a bolt of lightning. It's like bzzz, and it shocks people, like blows off their heads and stuff. That's really cool. And then there's like this other gun where you shoot like gunpowder-esque stuff, and then you fire like a fireball and it like explodes all over the place, and that's really cool too. But then you don't get to use it that much. I think you use like the lightning gun twice throughout the game, and then maybe the fireball-y gun like 3 times, and that's great, but you only like shoot guys for like 2 hours of the game, and when you are shooting some guy, it's like hiding behind cover and just shooting a bunch of dudes. Like you're not running through an environment shooting people. So that's rough. Then there's the cool werewolf fights, which aren't that cool. It's like you're shooting a werewolf and he's like coming at you, and you're shooting him, and then he like comes at you again, and then finally you can stab him. So it's like not that exciting. And then there's like these big werewolf guys that you get to fight, and it's not that cool. And it's like R1, R2, R1, R2, and like that's the whole fight, and that's kind of boring and bland. But there's some really exciting parts to it that make promising sequels and stuff for the Order, because we're definitely going to get a sequel. If you've played the end, it doesn't really end, so you know there's got to be more to it. Really exciting part about it though is the character of Galahad is awesome. The main character, he's really cool, he's interesting, and there's some really good dynamics between different characters, and they keep you wanting to come back for more. So that's really cool, but you don't get a lot of that because they're trying to do too much in a short amount of time and try to trick you. And then there's like, I didn't know this guy was going to be the main bad guy, but I don't even fight him at the end. I just kind of fight his henchman, and that's where it ends. And it's like, it's not a lot of oomph for what we needed from the oomph game. You know, this was supposed to be the big PlayStation exclusive that was going to change everything like Uncharted did for PS3 and finally give us that staple, like, you know, oh, Nathan Drake, Galahad. But it's like, it's not. There's something lacking, and it's, you know, not that good. So it's really, the problem with the game though is not the lack of gameplay, the story. It's the game doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know if it's a movie or if it's a game. It's like constantly struggling between that, and then the story's like the pacing of the story is just really, really off. And it's like you're fighting at one point and just huge explosions, and then you're walking around talking to many different people and saying things with a British voice, and you're missing that whole thing. And so when your pacing is off, your game is off, and the Order 1886 is off, frankly put. There's really good things. I liked parts of the game, but I didn't like all of the game. And so my biggest thing with the Order 1886 is if it knew what it was, it'd be perfect. But it doesn't know what it is, and so it's like very just torn between like pushing the limits of a console and developing this engine for like cloth movement, and then really like old school gameplay that is not new and exciting, and it's just like and that's not exciting. So I want more out of it. That is basically what I thought of the Order 1886. Probably didn't cover everything because it's off the top of my head, but if I didn't miss something, talk to me about it. My name is Jake Burke, and that has been the Order 1886 review kind of discussion thing with myself in this camera in my garage with a sheet on it.